Well, it's a little bit of a rainy day here today in early fall, very late summer. But some good news. Victron just released Venus OS 2.6, and I thought it would be a great time to revisit installing that on a Raspberry Pi because some things have changed, some things have gotten better. So I thought I would redo that walkthrough. So Coco's over here. She's going to help me out. We're in the bus, and let's get started. So before we get into this video, our normal viewers, you might not like this. It's going to be a pretty long video, pretty in-depth, not a lot of editing, a lot of technical stuff. So if you're into this stuff, by all means watch. If not, I'm not going to be offended if you skip. We won't mind.
If you're watching this, you want to take your Raspberry Pi and make it look like this and have it be touch and interactive, right? That's what everybody wants. So in this guide, we are going to do that, and we're going to start from a fresh SD card, and I'm not going to have any edits in this. It is going to be as it unfolds, just like my other one, but hopefully things go a little bit smoother. What you want to do is go to the Victron Venus GitHub page, and it gives you some background on what the project is and where to get the Venus install image. So these are all the different platforms that are supported here. Quite a bit. It looks like the Raspberry Pi 4 is not supported yet, but I think they're working on it. So to get started, let's download the latest image. And you can see they have stuff going all the way back from 2018, it looks like. And while these are all version 2, they do change quite a bit. They work really hard on them. So what we are looking for is the 2.6.0. That is the latest. You're welcome to go to something newer. I'm guessing if you watch this, there will be something newer. I think this one right here is just the latest, and you can see they're exactly the same size. So, let's roll with this one here. We'll download that, and I don't need to open that. We'll just save it. Now I'm using Firefox on a Mac. For the most part, this will work the same with any other computer, Mac, Windows, Linux. Step 1, you got to download the zip file. While that's happening, you want to prepare your etching program or SD card image burner, whatever you want to call it. I'm using one called Etcher. I've used a couple other ones before. And I suppose while I'm waiting here, I can select target. Oh no, it won't let me do that. I gotta do the file first, so we are just waiting here. Almost done. Alright, that's done. Alright. Where is it here? Hope there's nothing too embarrassing in there. Alright, that'll work. And now we gotta select a target, and that's the only one I have. So I have my disk card, or my disk image, not disk image, SD card in my computer. I have one of the older Macs that still has an SD card reader, and I really like it. I don't know that I'm ever going to give it up. So we will roll with that, and I should say this is my working install that's running Venus OS 2.5 point something, or no, it was running a beta of 2.6. So I'm going for my working system, and I'm diving right in here with you. So hopefully this works out for us. No backups, no plan B. So we will flash it. Alright, so away we go. I may edit this down a little bit. We're just decompressing things here. Or it's extracting the zip file, and then it's going to take the contents of that and write it to the image, or to the SD card. Like my Minnesota mug there. Yeah, got the loon on there. Wow, this is going pretty quick. Maybe I won't edit this out. I think it's important to show how things are done, because so many times I've watched guides and it's like, you know, here, do the thing, load this library, and then make the rest of it. And it's like, well, hold on there. You know, everyone comes at these things from a different level of expertise, and you know, there might be holes in what you know, or what I know, or what I think I need to tell you. So I think this is a good way to do it. All right, we don't need to flash any others. No more notifications. In the background there, that's Coco, my dog. She's wandering around. All right, so that's done. Might take a quick break. I might switch to my phone quickly.
So what we're going to want to do is take this SD card now, which has a fresh build of Venus OS, and put it into the Raspberry Pi. And I already have mine disassembled here, so I'm going to get this in there, and then we can get started. Alright, it is back assembled. Now I have, this is a little Bluetooth USB dongle I use sometimes, and then this is external storage for data. I'm not going to need those right now. So next I need to install this back into this little cubby hole here, so I'm going to do that. Okay, quick change in plans. I'm going to take that and I'm going to bring it closer to the router over there, plug it in directly wired, just so I can get it on the network as quick as possible. It's been so long since I've done this. It's just always been on the network. I've been able to do everything through the terminal. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I already explained what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it. All right, it's there in that rat's nest of wires and connected. So we should be able to talk to it over here.
Okay, so it is should be on the network. So this is where okay, so what we need to do is get the address and the IP address of it. I was thinking that would show up on the Victron Connect app, but it appears as though it doesn't. Usually, yeah, I'm on the Himmelberger bus. Usually it would show up in your local listings here, but it might not be quite set up for that yet. So we need to get the IP address. So usually you can go into your router and find that, or sometimes there's some kind of Raspberry Pi discovery apps. In this case, I'm in my DDWRT router, and here's the IP address here. So we can grab that, new tab, and huzzah, there we go. So what we need to do, first of all, is we need to connect it to the Wi-Fi, right? So, is that here? No. and then we can put it back where it belongs. We're going to connect to that one. It's probably going to show you my password. So if you ever see us, you can connect. Maybe I'll blur that out. Connecting, retrieving IP address. Okay, we are connected. Awesome. I might take care of a couple other things. No, we're gonna work that. We're gonna go in order. We're not gonna do anything fancy yet. Okay. So now we reboot. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab that and I'm gonna move it. So now, yep, it's about to come up. So now that it is on Wi-Fi, it is gonna have a different IP address, and so here it is. It looks like it's 121. It was at 18. So it might take a second here. Oh, it just rebooted. Why did it do that? Okay, looks like it's happy now. Ah, this is more. It never goes smoothly. Never, right? Okay. So we are gonna go to. First thing we can do before we can SSH into it and really start doing the updates and configuration we need to do. We need to go into settings here. So you can navigate this. This is your space bar here and escape, return, whatever. But you can also use the mouse. General, and we need to set a super user account. And the way you do that is you hold, I believe it's right arrow over. Yep. So I just, I guess I could have shown that with a button click, but yeah, you just right arrow over and you just keep holding it down until super user pops up. And then you can enable SSH on LAN. And you can set the password. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will reset it to something more secure later. We don't need demo mode or anything. Yeah, I do have other things going on here, but that's all I need for right now. Now, let's go into the terminal, and hopefully on on Windows. Boy, it's been a long time since I've done it, but I believe what is that, PuTTY? I don't. Could be wrong. Oh, well, now they have Linux subsystem for Windows too. I don't know. Whatever your preferred method of SSHing in, go ahead and do that. So let's hope I can remember this the first try here. So it's SSH. Its root is the username at that IP address. Whatever it's going to be for yours, it's not going to be that exact IP address. And oh, it needs. Oh, because it's on the same IP address that it was on before, so the fingerprint does not match. Alright, give me a minute while I reset that. So I am going to edit this out because there's going to be SSH keys in there that I don't want out there. So okay, I've removed the host RSA fingerprint, and so now I should be able to. Oh, I have to type yes these days. Okay. And the password to log in is the password that we typed before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Hey, we're in. So there's nothing in there. Yep. All right. So that is the Raspberry Pi there. So we're in there. Next, So I've got some tabs up here. I'm going to have all these links in the description in the video so you can follow along. This right here is a GitHub. It started as a GitHub gist. Now it's a documentation file or MD file, markdown text, of things to do to get everything going on Raspberry Pi. And it's a really good guide. I would say it is about the best one out there. So let's get started here. So what should we start with here? Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to grab the touchscreen overlay, and the best way to do that is, so I'm going to take this URL here. And we need to copy both the touchscreen overlay, so I'm going to grab this link, and the backlight overlay, and we need to put those into the U-Boot overlays folder. I'm not going to worry about these other ones because I don't do any of these files, but if you're interested in the I2C or the whatever that is, that other RTC wang-a-dinger there, go for it, but I'm not going to be covering that. So if you're familiar with the Linux commands, or yeah, so we go cd, this is the way I do it anyway, U-Boot, and you get a tab and that'll autocomplete overlays. So now we're in the overlays directory, and what I like to do is just, because we're connected to the internet, wget, paste that URL that we had before, and away it goes. So that one's in there. Now let's grab the other one. Oh. Alright, well, I'll just fail. wget, right? Alright, we got our two fancy pants overlays in there. And now we need to modify the frame buffer, or the config.txt, so that one, we rotate it there. And I'm going to make one more change to this that is not in this list. And that is going to be, I'm going to change the resolution for the frame buffer. Venus OS actually supports 800 pixels wide, which looks so much better. Yeah. So to do that, we'll do, I still use Nano, some people don't. Nano, we're in U-Boot, config.txt. So those are what's in there. All that stuff is turned on. Yeah, I don't think we have to do anything special with the overlays other than, okay, so we're going to add LCD rotate equals 2, and I'm going to pull up something else here real quick. I cheated, and I did back up my old config.txt. I just want to make sure what I had it set to. Okay. Alright. Okay. So we can do 800 by 480. So we're going to grab the frame buffer width. Oh, not that one. That's for later. Frame buffer width 800. Yeah, we leave that at 480, but it needs, rather than say width, it needs to say height. Alright, and I think with that, we should be good. And on my Mac here, it's Control-O to save. And I think that's all I need to do. I don't need to worry about these other overlays because, again, I'm not loading these ones in. And I'm not worrying about this either. Yeah, we may create a file called rc.local and add this line to it and run on startup. We're going to come back to that rc.local file. We don't have to do any of this currently. This is for, I think, some analog to digital converters. I'm not going to mess with any of that. But we do need to get the backlight and display blanking going. So we have to tell Venus OS where is the backlight device. So it says it's at sys class backlight RPI backlight. So easiest way to do that. Okay, we're still in here. So that's Control X to get out of Nano. So all I have to do is just copy this line here and paste that in our terminal, and that environment variable is set. Do the same here. And now that's set. That's easy enough. Next, we need to update the packages. So that's op package update. If you're familiar with Ubuntu distributions, it's kind of like apt-get update. So we are just going to update all the package definitions and whatnot. Well, that's... Oh, I thought that was going to take longer. So next, we need to install the Qt4 mouse driver because we want touch support, don't we? That's going to grab that. There might be faster ways to do this. I just like to do it one line at a time, so if I know if something goes wrong, I can grab it. And okay, so I know some of these ones that we have to install are already installed, like tslib conf is already in there. But we need to install the calibration package. If we can't calibrate the screen if we don't do that. And let's just double check to make sure that the tslib-conf is in there. See, it says no packages installed or removed. That's because it's already there. And let's grab the test. That one may also be there as well. Nope. Alright, well that's going. Let's grab the kernel module backlight. That was already in there as well, so we don't got to worry about that. Now the next part here, create the backlight control script. You don't have to do that anymore. This is, while this is accurate, I think it's good that it's in here. This is actually built into Venus OS now. We don't have to worry about it, so we're going to skip that. Now the fun part. We get to calibrate this screen. But first, so I think we can actually grab all these. We need to set these environment variables first. And I believe it's as simple as that. So what this is doing is setting the frame buffer device to basically what screen, and then what touchscreen device, the first one, and where the pointer calibration file is. That is going to be important later because we're going to want to back that data up in kind of a more advanced section of this. And then the config files and all that other stuff. But before we run the calibration, I believe we want to reboot and update this. So before we do that, let's reboot this. And I think all we have to do is type reboot. There it goes. And you can probably see it. Oh, if you're watching screen cam here, it's rebooting there. Yeah, there the rainbow color went. So and it's okay. It is properly rotated. Looks good to go to me. So we are going to have to re-log in now. Now it's going to take a little bit of time for the terminal to be like, hey, what happened? Usually it says the session ended. Boy, there might be people that are smarter than me that it's like, no, here's the key command to make that go away. Well, I don't know what it is offhand. You know what? I'm just going to start a new session. And nice thing, if you're not familiar with terminal stuff, you can hit the up arrow and that'll give you your last command. So we're going to do that. And now we should only have to hit. What's taking so long here? Are we still at that IP address? We should be. Let's make sure. Well, let's see. Huh. What's it? The IP address is still there. It appears as though it booted. Why is it not connecting? Oh, here we go. It just took a little bit of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. And there, that's online now too. Whew, I was sweating that one. Okay, so where are we in our steps here? Okay, calibrate. So when I run this, I'm going to switch to my phone and I'll splice this in and I'll show you what I'm going to do there.
So this is important. I would say when running this calibration, use the finger that you will most likely be using and the hand that you will most likely be using. So I was almost going to use my left hand, but I usually use it right-handed. So we're going to touch each individual calibration point. And that's it.
And you can see there, those are kind of what, those are all the calibration samples. So that's pretty sweet. Now this is probably the trickiest part, I would say, although a lot of this is tricky, is we need to adjust the start GUI command. So that is, yeah. So that's this path here. It's an option or opt Victron Energy GUI start GUI. So I'm gonna edit that with nano. So nano, then I paste that path in, hit return, and up it comes. And I'm gonna copy these bits. I'm not copying this because again we did not mess with the backlight control script. That's if you want to automatically set it on boot, but in my experience it saves what you set it through the interface. So like I said, these two lines are not important in my mind. So I've copied these lines here and we're looking for directly, what does it say here? Add the following lines right after the when head full comment block. So that's this here, when head full. So we do it right. So we have to navigate with the arrow keys. Maybe Vi is better. I don't know. I don't want to start a war. So on Control O, that will save that, and hit return. That'll save it. Command Control C. Oh no, Control X gets out of that. We don't have to worry about the GPS device. And I'm thinking almost all the rest of this we don't. Oh, yeah. The only other thing we have to do is switch from headless to headless, or basically to bring up the GUI on the screen, so it's not just that text interface. So the way we do that is all we're doing is we're moving a file, or we're renaming a file, and we do it through the move command. We can just paste that in there. So what that does is it's moving the file in etc/venus/headless and it is moving it or renaming it to headless.off. And that's as simple as that. And we shouldn't have to sudo. All we have to do is just type reboot. And I will show over there, if you've got it on over there. Yeah, there it goes. We'll see if we get a nice, pretty interface or not. Hopefully we do. Okay, we got the Victron logo coming up. Oh, and so far so good.
Now, I don't have any of the USB dongles set up or anything, but let's just see if touch is working. It is. And that is literally half the battle. But you can see how nice and crisp these graphics are. So that's really nice. And the other thing you want to check is on the display. Yes. So you do have your off time timer, and you have your intensity here. So you can crank that up and all the way down. You can see it does adjust. So that's working. We're in good shape. All right, when I plugged in the USB hub, it did turn off on me, or it rebooted. Yeah, it looks like it's picking everything up. Found the Multiplus. Here's what I really like about the new version. You get to see your MPPT controller icons. Let's just see. Oh, well, I found one charge controller so far. Did find the Multiplus. It's missing a charge controller. I'd be willing to bet it'll pick that up eventually. I know it's down there. So far, so good there.
Just rebooted it here. I was hoping, yep, there it goes. Picked up everything. We've got the, yeah, we've got everything here. So, that's pretty much it. You can stop here if you want, but here's the deal. When an update, we can't stop here yet. Hold on. One more thing we got to do. Firmware. We go to settings, firmware, online updates. Okay, check only is good. You do not want check and update, especially with this kind of configuration, because right now you would have to redo a bunch of this. What it would remember is your Wi-Fi information. That's where, you know, I haven't had to do this in a while, because, or the part in the beginning, because it always remembers the Wi-Fi connections and all that. But there are scripts out there and methods to keep your settings after an update, and I wanted to go over that as well. So again, I will include these links. There's one here that's pretty cool. It's an article, actually, that's in the Victron community space there, and this is pretty cool. It actually gives you this interface here on boot, which I think is pretty cool. But I don't know that I necessarily want, like, most of the stuff, I don't need to change this stuff all that often. It sounds like this person put this together mostly for quickly putting these systems together. So ideally you can put this on a USB stick or something, and you can just set these up really quick. Like, you know, if you were helping people out regularly, I think it makes sense to do that. So I am actually not going to do this one, but I think this is a perfectly good guide to use if you want to experiment. I'm going to try this other one, which is the last comment in a thread here called Upgrading Pi Erased Settings on the Victron community website. So we're going to go all the way to the bottom. You can see there's a whole bunch of different versions as this script has continued to evolve, but evolve. But I think this is the best so far, and this one came out May 19. So we're going to do this one. What we want to do, so we're just going to open the script. Oh, I already had it there. So I believe this is, yeah, So if I recall, what you do, remember that rc.local file. That is what this script ends up being. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Yep, and we do need to change mod it. So let's step 1. So we're going to cd. Oh, step 1. Let's log back in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will change that before this gets out. So let's cd to data, and let's just see if there's an RC local in there. There's not, so we go nano rc.local, and what that does is normally nano reads a file, but rather than, you know, in your typical desktop application where you start creating a file, then you name it, in the command line you first name it, then you get to work in it. So that's what we're doing. We're using nano, the text editor, and we're saying let's start working on a file called rc.local. And we will grab this, and all we have to do is save it. So Control O. Well, that's, we have to do more than that, but so I have it up here in a text editor, and then I'll have my terminal editor over here. And what we're going to do is kind of step through it line by line and make sure that we have everything the way it needs to be. So step 1, the way it works is it's looking for any differences in the start GUI.sh. So we edited that, so it's different than what comes on the SD card stock. But when you run an update, it reverts back to it. So what this does is it checks for a difference. If there's no difference, then there's nothing to do. No software update detected, exiting. But if it does detect a difference, then it springs into action. So currently there is no start GUI in the data folder. So what we need to is copy that. So I'm going to exit out of that. So we need to, let's see, it's CP, I believe. It's the copy command. We want to take that file and copy it to right where we're at. So we just type, well, just to make sure the command works wherever you're at, you can do \data start GUI.sh. And now if we ls, we list that directory, we see the start GUI.sh and the rc.local. So I think, oh, and then the other thing we need to do is, okay, well, let's step through everything that it's doing here. So if it does find an update, or that the software has been updated, it will run all those commands we did before. It'll run the package updater, and it will install all that stuff. And then it will set those environment variables. It will then remove the start GUI that Victron provides and replace it with the one that we've customized. Then it will also reset headless so that we get the interface again. And then it will copy back these. Oh, what do we got to do there? So basically, all these copy commands we pretty much have to do in reverse, the way I understand it. So here, let's do this. So we need to copy this backlight device, which that must be an alias. I'm not super up on this stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm inverting the copy commands to set it up. It'd be nice if they had a script that would just do this, but you know, they're not really getting paid for this. So we'll do that. Same thing here. So what I'm doing is I'm copying the copy command and then the data directory path. Then I copy the target path where it's and I put that, I insert it before. Why am I not getting? Yeah, so that, are we getting everything in there? Yeah, okay, those are in there. We don't need to look at the I/O pins. We don't need to worry about that. Yeah, none about the relay stuff. So I might. I think it might make sense to. Where's the? So interesting. This is not doing. I haven't looked at this one all that close. So this one does not appear to be updating the calibration files. So I'd like to do that as well. So what we're going to do for that is first we have to copy those out, and we have to look and see, okay, where did we set those? So we got to go up here. Okay, remember when we this calibration file? So we need to copy that. So let's go cp /pointer cal. Now I like to do the tab autocomplete because that way I know that I got it right. And then let's copy it to data /pointer cal. Alright, so now we got the pointer cal data in there. What's kind of fun too is you can actually see what that looks like. So we'll go nano. And we're in the data directory, so we can just go nano pointer cal, and that's all the data is, which is kind of interesting. So then the other thing we need to do is we are going to need to edit that RC local file and add a copy statement in there. So cp data pointer cal /pointer cal. I wonder if, we probably need to remove it first just to make sure it's not there, in case it gets set by these other things. So I added 2 lines here, remove pointer cal, and then copy our copied version over. And then the other thing we want to do, and I think we don't, a lot of this I don't think we need, so we should probably, let me just look here. Yeah. Alright, looks like oh, I know, where's my Yeah, a lot of this we don't need. Like all the CAN bus stuff, D-bus ADC, we can remove a lot of this. I wonder, here's what I'm going to do, because we didn't really do much in here. There we go. There's the pointer cal stuff. I'm going to grab my 2 pointer cal lines. I'm going to put these in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to delete a lot of this because we don't need it. I just want to verify it here. Relay state, yeah, we don't need that. We don't need any of the ADC stuff or the log. We don't need to set. Coco's being barky inside. Yeah, so I'm going to actually just kind of clean up this file a little bit. Maybe I will release my, I'll link to my own version of this. That's a little more simpler. So I think this is all we need. Yeah, that makes things a lot simpler. Alright, so what I need to do now is, no, it doesn't matter. So we need an RM. So we're going to remove that, and then we're going to set it again. Yeah. And then I think the only other thing we had to do was, I think this guide actually talked about it. We needed to change mod it. Where is it in here? Where is it here? So I believe we need to change mod that. We need to change the permissions of that start GUI file. Or no, not the start GUI. I thought it was the rc.local. Well, I think this is, yeah. That's what we need. Yeah, so here's some guides on that too. Create a script. So let's do that. Okay. And city there is all a little bit different. Everybody was kind of writing their own scripts and stuff. Let's reboot this and see if it blows up. I gotta go check on Coco. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Coco's doing just fine. Obviously, ended up having to put a couple edits in here. This took a lot longer than the other video, but we covered a lot more material and hopefully gives you a good idea of what's involved. And having done updates and having all your changes erase, it's not that bad. You only got to run a couple of commands. Pretty much everything in that rc.local file is what you have to do. So it's not that bad, even doing it manually. You just SSH in there. What I've noticed I have to do is after an update, I don't know why, I have to go into General, and I have to reset the super user password. For some reason, the update wipes it out. I don't know why exactly. Maybe I'll go through a couple other settings I always adjust to, because I do use the DVCC because I like the shared voltage sense and the shared temperature sense. That way everything knows the temperature of the batteries and all that stuff. Do I do any other things? No. I kind of let... Oh, has DC system? Yes. Anything else? No. No. I can make that a little bit bigger, can I? Oh, yeah, I gotta turn the VRM on, enabled. I like to log much faster than 15 minutes. I actually like 1 minute intervals. I actually find that's really nice for diagnosing, like I had an alternator that was failing, and with 1 minute intervals I could tell like when it was working well and when it wasn't. At 5 or 15 minute, I don't know if I can do that. VRM two-way communication is really good. You can actually load multiplus configurations through this, which is really great, especially if you don't have a Windows PC. I mean, I do, but it's just a pain to use. There might be other things. I'd love to use ESS someday. Just I've messed around with it a couple of times, but it's just not something I mess with too much. Yeah, Bluetooth is enabled, but I can never get it to work. If somebody can, that'd be great. I wish I could get that to work. Generator start stop. I'd love to get that to work sometime. I don't think. MQTT on LAN is pretty cool. There's a completely different interface to this that you can use for MFD devices. That's pretty sweet.
So there you have it. That's how you update the Venus OS or install it on a Raspberry Pi, and yeah, do a whole bunch of other stuff. And maybe I caused you more confusion than anything else, but hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this is something you can use. If you have questions, comments, please post them. Comments continue to improve the information. My other video, I think, was close to 2 years old. Hopefully this one can help some other people out and have more updated information in it. Yeah, I think that's everything.